fall again. I have been thinking about everything we left unsaid. I know I probably didn't do it like the rest. God, it feels like these past 2 years been nothing but a test.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday podcast. Please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. I have made it safely to my next destination. Thank you so much for being patient with me. I was planning on doing a podcast yesterday, but I was just exhausted. I didn't have a particularly long flight, it was only 3 hours from Malaysia to Bali, which is where I am now. I'm currently back in Bali because I was first here in 2018. And it is just amazing to come back to a place that just gave you so much. Last time I was in Bali, actually, I was quite heartbroken that year. Complete and utter idiot who broke my heart. But um, that was an amazing time of healing and growth. And it's great to be back again in and be in a space where I'm actually thriving. So I think it's going to be a very different experience for me being in Bali. And I just took a walk around. I'm in an area called Ubud at the moment. I'll move around and stuff, but I've already seen like most of Ubud, but I took a walk around like the main spots, like the monkey forest. You can see the monkeys behind me, looking like, I mean, one of them actually looks like they're about to pounce. Or maybe he was looking into the camera because they are quite clever little creatures. And I went to some of my favorite cafes and just like took in the town again. So it's been great to be reintroduced to Bali today. And it ultimately, Bali is actually where I wanted to end up all along. And yeah, I'm really excited to be here. Also, do let me know how the internet is because I am on a new connection now, obviously, because I'm in a new place. The internet in Bali is, well, in Ubud anyway, it's not as good as, say, Canggu or Seminyak. So do let me know how it is. But I literally picked an accommodation with the best internet connection that I could find. Like I was going around to like all the places and like, can you please check the internet speed? Please check the internet speed. So let me know how it is. Like, is the sound okay? Is it jumpy? If it starts to get jumpy at any point, but I think it should be relatively okay. Yeah, Bali is very, very beautiful, Jessica. Some places have become a little bit too touristy, but once you kind of get away from that, it's just lush green jungle. Oh my gosh, light side. Last time I was here, one of those monkeys stole my cushion. Like I always walk around with a cushion, like in case I want to sit down if I'm tired. And it stole my cushion. And I actually saw one of the monkeys grabbing a woman's bag. Now, sometimes, if you fight back a little, they'll just give you back your stuff. But other times they do attack. I actually saw a baby monkey going after a baby human today, like threatening to scratch it. So you do have to be careful. And they've also learned certain behaviors, like they'll stick their tongue out at you. Oh, it's hilarious. Annie, you said you're so blessed to be so well traveled. It is indeed a blessing. And part of that blessing does come from passport privilege, having a British passport. But if you really do want to travel, like I've said, and I've mentioned this on my other travel channel before, and I've done Q&As here, and also my book, link in bio if you want to, buy it. There are so many ways that you can travel cheap, travel for free. One of my favorite travel solo female travelers that I follow, her travel journey actually started because she joined the Peace Corps and she did volunteering. So I think at the time anyway, I don't know how generous they are with it now, but Peace Corps pay for things like your accommodation, food, and stuff like that. So look into things like volunteer programs. There's plenty of ways to travel for free. No, Anna, that is not cheese. That is actually a coconut. It's a coconut. Controversial opinion: watermelon is superior to coconuts. I'm sorry. I love me watermelon more. Anna, the monkey wants to play with me. I think it was just ready to pounce, or maybe it was helping me take my selfie. Okay, you're saying that the internet's like absolutely fine, so fantastic. We will continue then. Right, first things first, some good news. Harry and Meghan continuing the good work. They gave some backpacks, which I believe included some menstrual products. Let me just open up the actual Archer website and read. And these were given to girls in Nigeria. And interesting detail here spotted by Iris the scholar. Archwell supplied bags are from Beast, a travel brand founded by Shay Michelle in 2018. Fun fact, both Meghan and Shay participated in DirecTV's Beach Bowl at Pier 40 in February 2014 in New York. So, Meghan reaching into her little black book and choosing to support people that she's worked with before. And what an amazing network that she had. This is also where she met Serena, and she's interviewed Serena for the TIG. Okay, Archwell's not loading on my phone, so let me try and get it on my laptop instead. There we go. Yeah, I think this is a really nice initiative, and it's not always necessarily about doing huge things. It's the little things that add up. And being consistent, I think, with your messaging and who it is and the type of communities that you're reaching out to. And Meghan has said that she wants to explore her Nigerian heritage a little bit more. All right, give me a second, folks. Okay, so providing back to school essentials for girls in Nigeria. As students around the world return to school this month, the Archwell Foundation supported girls' education and health by sending school supplies and menstrual products to young scholars in Nigeria with the GEANCO Foundation. So there was a representative from Kenya who mentioned at Invictus that they could be doing something. So maybe this is like a sign of what more could come. So the foundation provides critical healthcare and education services in Nigeria. It's David Oyolo's leadership scholarship provides full tuition, medical care, and social and emotional support to young female victims of terrorism and gender inequality in Nigeria. Now that's interesting because David is actually starring in a movie that I think comes out tomorrow on Netflix, which is being directed by Miss Anne, who is, Harry and Meghan, one of their favorite photographers and also close friends. That's interesting. The CEO of the foundation joined Archwell staff to help fill backpacks with supplies and menstrual products. The Archwell Foundation will support and also provide menstrual products and menstrual health education for 2,500 girls in the region, supporting the health and well-being of girls pursuing their education. Incredible. And this isn't, I'm sure they've probably spent maybe, a couple thousand, how much does it cost to just send some bags with some supplies and the most important thing, which is absolutely priceless, give these girls an education on something that is so important in relation to their health. That is absolutely priceless. You can't put a price on that. And it's just so consistent with all the things that Harry and Meghan have been doing, especially when it comes to women's empowerment. So incredible to see. Thank you so much to Joyce. Let me try and find your comment. Where is it now? Okay, thank you so much, Joyce, for the super chat. You said, after the success of the Invictus Games, the British media now want Charles to give Harry and Meghan protection and to give residents of one of their palaces. They want access to them now they're in the desert. Yeah. And I think ultimately, I mean, what Joyce is referring to there is all of the briefing that's been going on the last week about, Harry could be given a room in Kensington and all of this stuff. The well is running dry. And they just don't know what to do now. They really don't. I see we have some watermelon fans in the chat. Coconut's getting no love. It's true. It's just true. Right. On to the next thing. So that's some fantastic news and great to see Meghan utilizing her past connections. On the issue of the press, though, in their desperation, so Matt Wilkinson, this was the creep from The Sun who flew all the way to Dusseldorf to stalk the irrelevant Harry and Meghan, got this close. I'm still shocked at this and quite worried at this. I hope this does not happen again. But he tweeted this. He said, "Yep, if the palace asked us to go or gave notice and provided access to cover the Princess Royal or Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, then we might. But they don't. And believe me, we have had these conversations." Okay, so I have to read that again. If the palace asked us to go or gave notice and provided access to cover the Princess Royal and Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, then we might. So one of the things that the Royal Rotarats have said was that there's limited information. There's a limited relationship between the Rota and the palace. Regardless, there's just something very weird about the fact that Matt was there, that he got so close, that he wanted to get so close. I don't believe that he was invited. There's just no way he would have been. And if he had been invited, he wouldn't be creeping around with his iPhone, not even an official camera like the other official photographers, or he would have been given a place with the press pen to do interviews. Very creepy. Yeah, they should never come back. It's a trap. Harry and Meghan should never come back. Rahini, you said, "This is so wonderful. There were times in my life as a young woman where I would have needed a care package like this." Yes, and the instant morale boost for these young girls to just know that they are cared for and that someone is thinking of them. That alone can really inspire someone to make a big change. Just such a small gesture. Okay, so some of you are commenting on Kate, and yeah. So I don't actually have the picture, but there was an article that came out when Meghan was still working royal. Apparently we weren't just attacking her for eating avocados and opening car doors. One of the headlines that I missed was that we were also attacking her for having a bun in our hair. Only for Kate to be walking around this week with a bun in her hair, power suits, which apparently was also off limits and against royal protocol because royal women couldn't wear trousers. I think that we will one day know why all of this foolery with Kate is happening, why she's copying Meghan's style, what's going on with her. I try not to I try to be critical where it's fair. but not, you know, beat the dead horse when it's already down. The last couple of appearances that I've seen Catherine, from my perspective personally, I believe that there is something very, very wrong. And I think that is probably why, even though I feel Kate has been very much involved in the smear campaign against Meghan, it's probably why Meghan went soft on her in the Oprah interview. Because there is something going on behind the scenes. I have my suspicions. I think we all have our suspicions. Um, it's a boundary that I just don't cross by saying what I think it is. I think time will tell what it is. That's going on behind the scenes with her and with William. But it's getting to the point now where you just can't hide it. I understand that when you are a public figure, especially in an institution like this, you are expected to uphold a certain image. But at a certain point, it just becomes so fake and overdone that it looks crazy. And that top picture where she's laughing away, it's like I could literally find 100 pictures like this with the same expression where it's just this over exaggerated laugh where you just get the sense of this person isn't actually really happy. They're hiding something very dark. To the point where there's even, pictures of her. I think one was at a Holocaust memorial, at a food bank, where she's smiling away like this. Like at places that you just shouldn't be smiling, places that you should be mourning. Oh dear. I don't know. I just think everybody around um Kate, I think, has just failed. I think she's also failed herself. I'm not going to take responsibility away from her, but she was, groomed to be this rich man's wife, and I don't know why her mother was so determined that that man be a William and that she marries into the Windsor family. She could have just been a rich housewife to any of the lower aristos, but oh no, the Middletons had to just try and get into this Windsor family, and boy, hasn't it backfired. Going into this cursed, unroyal mafia of a family. And this is the position that you find yourself in, where your husband is looking at you like he absolutely just detests you. This is not a life. It's not even a gold gilded cage at this point. It's just the cage. There's nothing golden about this. And the gold and the jewels are stolen anyway. Speaking of stolen gold and jewels, the British Museum. The British Museum is now asking the public and experts to help recover stolen artifacts. Artifacts which they stole in the first place because they feel that and kept all this time, refusing to give them back because apparently if you give them back to their home countries, then they'll be destroyed or stolen anyway. The jokes write themselves. Right. Let's go to your comments. Oh, it's quite a few things to get through today. Like Sadie said, yes, they said the bun was against protocol, but here is Kate trying to fulfill her uninterested husband's bidding for copying Meghan. It's very disturbing behavior. Yeah. I mean, I've heard several theories as to why this is going on and why they're doing it. Is it bullying Meghan? Is it because William's obsessed? Is it because Kate's obsessed? Could it be all three? Whatever it is, for the last time, if anybody in that cuckoo Kensington Palace is listening, it's making her look crazy. Stop it. Unless you're just sabotaging her. It looks insane. Ugh. Yes, that's another thing, Anani. You wouldn't copy someone who you claimed was bullying you, who you claimed made you cry. She made you cry by copying every single thing that she's wearing. Yeah, Carol, she does look different, especially these last couple of weeks. It's interesting because on the online diary, they didn't have any appearances penciled in. So it's been interesting that she's come out. She's done quite a few appearances actually, but they have to make up for the fact that they were on holiday for the longest time, and then Invictus was hugely successful. Now William's upgrading his style apparently, because the sexiest bold man on the earth has to switch it up. He apparently has hired a new valet, and is thought to be acting as Prince William's personal attendant, whose duties include responsibility for his clothing and appearance. I mean, I assume that they have butlers and people doing stuff for them anyway. Why does he need to hire another one? And what is so hard about picking out some clothes that are already there, ironed and pressed for you? I mean, is this a fancy way of saying that he's actually just hired a stylist on the taxpayers' money? Because that's what it kind of seems like to me. Oh dear. For all of his dressing needs, apparently. Dear oh dear. Now, Edwina, Ford Fiesta's husband, he's been out and about in Turkey. I wasn't sure why exactly he went to Turkey. Turkey's not a Commonwealth country, not that I want them in Commonwealth countries either. But it just didn't seem like there was any good reason for him to be there. Apparently, he was there taking part in the Duke of Edinburgh International Award. Duke of Edinburgh is a thing that is for young people, and they take part in all types of activities. From what I understand, though, with the Duke of Edinburgh Award, you have to actually pay to be part of it. It's not something that's like they pay for you to have these experiences. Um, but yeah, he went over there for the award. Um, Edward hasn't been seen as often since the Queen's passing, and yeah, I hope Edward's okay. Is all I'm gonna say about Edward. But he's been out and about. Okay, I'll go to your comments before I get on to the next couple of things. I'm Dee Dee, I'm getting there. I know you're all waiting for it. Drum roll. By the way, we have still heard very little about the situation with um Sophie and the grandmother that had her life taken, but at this point I think they've just brushed it under the carpet. That doesn't seem like it's going to go any further. I haven't even heard anything about, will the guy who was riding the motorcycle be charged? Whoever gave the orders for the motorcade to be going fast, are they going to be charged? I don't know. But it's just very unfortunate. They literally gone away with, killing someone's grandmother. VU said, and the reason Kate puts on that grin in public is because of her private situation is so bad, it takes all of her energy to fake happiness. She can't concentrate on her work. No. To the point where I think even people who she meets on these outings are starting to notice. I mean, you can just kind of look at their face, look at that top picture and look at their faces. And there's also another video, I think I played it on the podcast before, where she goes and she meets these rugby guys. And there's one guy who is just looking at her like, what are you saying? Nothing you are saying is making sense. Like, he literally can't hide it from his face. Oh dear. Oh dear. Now, William, it is rumored. This is coming from the royal streets, by the way. None of this is verified, but I think it's interesting to explore. It is being rumored that William has been benched by the Foreign Office, or somebody at the Foreign Office wasn't particularly happy and that he has no foreign diplomatic tours in his schedule. Mind you, the New York tour, mini tour, and also in Singapore for Earthshot aren't necessarily considered diplomatic because they're his own project. And then also bear in mind that the last joint trip with Kate was back in March 2022, and that was the failed Caribbean tour. And someone else saying he messed up in Poland and Whitehall had to clean up after him, and Poland was after the disastrous Caribbean tour. Looks like the UK government doesn't want yet another international relations fiasco. Now, the theory is, Poland is a little bit more conservative, and or there's kind of two theories as to why the Foreign Office was a bit peeved. Poland being a little bit more conservative, apparently there was it when William was there, he went to a gay restaurant, and that was seen, they are saying, by some as a political statement. And now I'm sure that William was just trying to be progressive, and show support for the LGBT community, but allegedly authorities saw it as a political statement because of who he is. And then there was also there's a guy named Lebedev, Russian guy who funds William a lot, a very close associate of William, and the fact that he went on this Poland trip um, to visit the military base. Obviously, they're supporting Ukraine. That the Lebedev guy, who has been, I think he's been given a peerage by Boris Johnson, that he wasn't particularly happy about it as well. So this allegedly all caused a mess with the Foreign Office. The problem, I think, with William is that he doesn't know who he is, right? He has to try and appeal to old school royalists who are on their way, to the pearly gates anyway. They're not going to be around for very long. So he has to come across in some ways it's still quite traditional. But then he also has to come across as progressive for the younger generation. But then he also, in being progressive, that would also mean that he's being political, and then you end up with situations, or it would be perceived that he's being political, and so you end up with situations like this. And then the fact that he's tied himself up with political figures like Lebedev doesn't help. Whereas with Harry and Meghan, they absolutely know who they are. They are progressive. They are a little bit more left leaning. They are for, well, I think they're for everyone, but more so you can see that the youth like them a lot more than, say, William and Kate. So while Harry and Meghan know who they are, William's trying to be 100 things to 100 different people. And you end up with situations apparently like this. Like, again, this is not, confirmed. This is just street hearsay. But I thought it was quite interesting. Hi, V. Thank you so much for joining us. Classy, you said, I think all of them in that family are finally turning on each other. It seems like it. I think that also the tabloid rats are playing games with them. I think they want chaos, and they know that they can cause it. And how do you trust people who are meant to be your family when you know that they could be briefing? Patricia, he's hiring the valet so he can look dapper like Harry. Well, Harry's dapper upgrade came courtesy of his wifey. Not necessarily because of hiring a stylist, which is what it is. They're using the word valet, right? But it's actually just he's hired a stylist on the taxpayer's dime, mind you. Let's get through some of your comments before we continue. There's an article to Arch for, by the way. If anybody wants to read it again or see the pictures in HD. Oh, thank you so much, Kat Harlem. You said Kate is a mean girl. I remember how she treated the York sisters. She remained silent while Em was being bullied. I call this karma. Yeah, I mean, I feel like everybody's getting that ancestral juju karma, including this person. Where is it now? Now that you've mentioned that, Cat Harlem. Yeah, this person. So apparently there is a Miss Leslie Sue who created a YouTube channel to spread vicious falsehoods about Meghan Markle and her family. Apparently Leslie was attacked by red ants. Meghan's ancestors are putting in the work this week. Where do you live that you would get attacked by red ants? Do we have I mean, I know that we have red ants in the UK, but so many that you would get attacked on your whole leg? Did you buy a duvet from eBay? Anyway, Harry and Meghan are living their best lives with Oprah while their haters are getting bitten on their legs and getting rashes by red ants. Oh, glorious. And thanks so much again, Kat Harlem. Joe Blogs, you said Kitty thought she won when no other woman wanted bullion. So sadly has no choice but to suck it up and lie in the bed she made. I pray Charlotte and Louis find freedom. I pray that Charlotte and Louis find freedom as well, because if those children find freedom, you know who else is getting freedom? The British taxpayer. So I pray they find freedom too. As for Kate, yeah, she thought she'd won, hey. I mean, if the aristo girlies who grew up around William didn't want him, why would you? I mean, that's the first question I would be asking. But I guess she had stars in her eyes, or jewels in her eyes, rather. She forgot those jewels were stolen. And if you built something off the back of others, it has no steady foundation to stand on. And we're now seeing how shaky the foundations of this royal institution really are. Okay. Do the next thing. Dan Wootton, let's get to it, shall we? So, yesterday it was reported that Dan Wootton was suspended following comments made on his program by Lawrence Fox. Lawrence Fox, the loser, failed actor, turned right-wing wannabe television personality. So it was Lawrence that made the comments, but GB News suspended Dan Wootton because they were made on his show. And then today, literally in the last hour, which is why I pushed back the podcast, Dan Wootton's contract with the Mail Online has now been terminated. So he was suspended, now he's been terminated. And here's what I think has happened. I think they're using the whole situation with Lauren Fox as a cop-out, basically. I think that Dan Wootton will be given a huge payout. He'll be told to be silent. And they will hope that the more serious allegations against Dan Wootton will go away. Because it doesn't make sense that you get rid of him, or you suspend him rather, at least from GB News. It doesn't make sense that you suspend him for comments that another man made on his show. Yes, those comments were absolutely disgusting, and I'm going to get into that in a minute. But the other guy made the comments. So why are you suspending someone for comments that somebody else made on their show, but you didn't suspend them when very serious, very credible allegations were made against them by several victims, and you were more than happy to have Dan Wootton on your show day after day after day after day attacking Meghan? And this now exposes another double standard, because there are many people in the media who have excused the abuse towards Meghan, or even co-signed the abuse towards Meghan, that are now outraged at what was said about this lady by Lawrence Fox, this Miss Ava Santino. She writes for Joe. which is a progressive left-leaning outlet, which is based in Ireland. So Lawrence basically made a comment. Well, it was just a very inappropriate comment. Basically said that nobody would want to sleep with her, but he said it in a much nasty way. And GB News were trying to act all brand new that that they found it unacceptable. They didn't know that Lawrence Fox was going to say it, and then it came out that actually they did know, and this was all co-signed by the producers, and they were all laughing about it afterwards. All around just vile people. And yes, I do think that this is just DB News and the Daily Fail jumping on this to get rid of Wootton, because they've realized now that everybody's outraged by this, well, let's just let him go this way, because we don't want to face the more serious allegations against him. Oh dear. I haven't checked on Byline recently. I hope they do have more and they keep putting out more, but ultimately, if Dan Wootton is being protected by some very powerful people, those powerful people also likely want to protect themselves. And we know that at least one of Dan Wootton's victims was a close associate of Rebecca Brooks, who's a close associate of Murdoch, who owns all the tabloids. Right. Before I get on to the very, very last thing I want to mention, let me just make sure I've covered all the other things, then I'll go to your comments and then we'll talk about one last thing. Yeah, Katerina, unfortunately, they messed around and then they're finding out the hard way. There's nothing wrong with having a cause and backing progressive causes, but when it's not something that you've been consistent with, people can tell that it's fake. People can tell that you're being disingenuous. Yes, Vera. William is totally consumed by the jealousy of Harry. Rhonda, the way he looked in those waist for his stylist. Oh dear. I mean, I just don't understand how they do. Surely he must have butlers. Do you know what it is? He's thinking, oh, if I hire a stylist, I can look more Hollywood. That's what it is. I think that's what it is. He wants to look more style. Harry was looking good at Invictus. Meghan wasn't the only one rocking some good fashions, right? And he's probably gone, oh, I need to get on the fashion thing too. Mind you, Kate's fashion, regardless of what we think of Kate's fashion does make the headlines. It does make the front pages. It does make her fashion girlies and her, fan base happy. That's what they love her for. Kate still pulls numbers and eyes. William does not. So that's probably also what's part of it as well. But honey, it doesn't matter how pressed your shirt is and how sway your shoes are. If you as a person aren't coming with charisma, if you as a person don't have purpose and direction, there's nothing a new shirt and a new pair of shoes can do for you. And it's just this typical attitude that the Royal Institution has, dressing everything up, very surface level things and not deeply impactful things. Barbara, you said when the former staff were fired out of the Caribbean Flop tour, two staff members complained that William and Kate did not read their briefing books, so they can't read the room, and it shows. Yes, they don't care. They show up to take pictures, and that's it. They're not there for any other reason. They don't care about the causes. They don't care about what impact it's created. You know almost nothing about the Earthshot winners. It's just about let's get there, let's take some pictures, let's hope those pictures get put on the front page so that we can stay in the public conscious. But now the public are starting to ask, what else do you bring to the table? For £100 million a year plus, with a 45% increase, by the way, next year, people are starting to ask more and more, what do you bring to the table? Anyway, last thing that I want to touch on, just trigger warning. This last part of the podcast contains talk of abuse and violence against women. This happened in London. A teenage boy who knifed a girl to death with a machete moments after he rejected her with flowers because he wanted to convince her to go back out with him on a bus. This happened on a bus to school. Now, the Daily Mail, being utterly heinous, I don't know why they had to mention the cost of her school. I don't know why that was relevant, but nonetheless, a girl was unalived by a boy who could not take no. Now, what's now come out is that it wasn't actually said girl; it was her friend who was trying to defend her, who got unalived. And in the middle, yes, I have a picture of Andrew Tate waving around a machete in his bed. I don't care what anyone says. The popularization of the likes of Tate and others, because there's quite a few. Some of them, the divine feminine has taken care of them. Kevin Samuels dead. Fresh and Fit are demonetized, and I think a lot more of them are going to be getting their comeuppance. There is a direct link between the popularization of these individuals and what is going on with young boys being radicalized. At my sister's former school, I know of at least one incident where a girl, there was a young boy who attempted to assault her in school. No repercussions whatsoever. The girl was not supported. In fact, she was encouraged not to press any charges. And the boy just moved to another school where he's probably going to do it again. I do think that it is time that incel violence, misogyny, and this type of radicalization is treated like other forms of terrorism, because that's essentially what it is. It's misogyny-based terrorism. And so, I say all that to say, if there is anyone listening that has experience in amending laws, writing laws, getting laws changed, petitioning, please do email me, please do message me. From what I understand, you can actually start a petition. Like, anybody can start a petition if you're a UK citizen. Mind you, whatever your country you're in, this is becoming a problem. So please look into it yourselves, wherever you are. But I'm speaking from the UK perspective. You can actually put a petition forward, and then you need 5 signatures from five other people who are also UK citizens to get the petition started. So this is something that I'm seriously considering. And if it's something that, the UK squaddies, if you would sign that, if I started that petition or got a group of people together to start that petition, I'm asking, is that something that you would sign? Is that something that you would support? A signature takes 2 seconds, guys and dolls, but I just feel like we have to do something. Because unfortunately, I do think that this is going to become more and more common. Just a couple of weeks ago, there was 2 girls who were in Germany. and there was a man who attacked them both, assaulted one, threw the other over the cliff. Um, and not only do I think that it is men like, so I'm not going to call him a man, fools like Tate who are pushing this ideology. Um, you know, the world is changing, and I think as women, we become more autonomous beings. Certain people with certain old school misogynistic attitudes don't want to change. Unfortunately, I do think this is going to become more commonplace, but we can do something about it. We can. First, the most important thing is having conversations with our boys and raising boys better. When I was growing up, one of the things I heard was, "Oh, boys are easier." And now I'm realizing that all of the parents who are saying that, they just weren't raising their boys. And also a lot of, you know, it's not just people like Andrew Tate. It's also people like Dan Wooten. It's also people like Lawrence Fox. It's also, news stations like GB News. All of this creates a culture where unfortunately some young men and boys think that this is okay. That when a girl says no, you can attack them like this. I've also seen forums of wives who've been in marriage, like decades long marriages, and their husbands saying, you've lost value, you need to be more submissive, all of this kind of rhetoric that's pushed by these individuals like Tate and Kevin Samuels. So we're not helpless. I do think that there's something that we can do about this. And if yes, creative life, the manosphere is a menace. I know that in the US, like the authorities are starting to monitor them a little bit more, but we need to move so much quicker. We need to move so much quicker than what we are. And yeah, if there's anyone in the UK, like if you think it is worth trying to start a petition to either amend the Terrorism Act or just create a new law that recognizes this as a terrorist threat, reach out to me. Let's try and get something started. Because when I think of some of the things that my younger sister has told me that she's seen in school, this could be my sister. It just enrages me to know that things have actually gotten worse from when I was in school. And this is why I say, like, there is no comparison between misogyny and misogyny. Misogyny is annoying. Misogyny kills. There's no comparison. And with that, I'll end the podcast. Thank you so much, everyone, as always, for coming and supporting. I hate to bring in something like this, that's just so dark and unfortunate, but I feel that something can be done with it. There's coming to 30,000 people on this who listen to this podcast. You only need 10,000 signatures to get on your petition to have your proposal debated in Parliament. So if that is the very least that we can do, I think we need to try and do it. And it's something that I'm going to try and do, if any of you are interested in supporting me. But I tell you who is a good role model for the young men and boys? Prince Harry. And it's not because he's a prince, it's because he's principled. All right, I'll finish off with your comments and then we'll wrap things up. All three impossible. You said there's a report now from Portugal media that Harry and Meghan flew in after Invictus with their bodyguards. The location they visited was Eugenia and her husband. Oh. Okay, well, I mean, I guess we never actually saw them arrive back in the US, so maybe that could be true. That's interesting. Yeah, Tony, we need to do something about this. It's completely out of hand. I remember some time ago, the manosphere goes into these kind of weird um like echo loops sometimes, or they'll focus on one thing and that'll become the thing. So there was at one point where they went crazy about women in yoga pants and how women in yoga pants were evil, and women in yoga pants were wearing yoga pants because they wanted attention at the gym. Well, you know what happened? There was a radicalized man who went into a yoga studio and shot some women. And I believe in his one of his like rants that they found afterwards, he was talking about how women in yoga pants were evil. So this stuff actually does radicalize people. And I know, like, you probably listen to that and you're going, yoga pants? Yeah. Shut up, went into a yoga studio. I mean, if you type in yoga studio shooting, it'll probably come up because he was radicalized by some fools online. Like, how weak minded can you be? Because you're mad that women wear yoga pants. When will it end? Oh, thank you so much, Elaine. Well, you can't sign it because you're in Australia, but you can start something in Australia because this problem is global. The popularity of these manosphere idiots is global. So if there is anything that you can get started in Australia, go for it. I might look at eventually maybe starting like one kind of central website or platform where we can encourage people from different countries to chime in. This should never happen again. And I hope they absolutely make an example of whoever this young individual is who did this. Sherry, where that poor girl's family could sue Andrew Tate for starting this hate with others against women. They're not going to be able to sue Andrew Tate. Although I do hope that Andrew Tate they make an example of him. If we were able to amend the Terrorism Act to include, incels, manosphere, as a threat, what they could do, one of the things that they have the right to do, is start putting people who are assumed threats under those labels on the terrorism watch list. That's one of the things that they could do. And when you are on the watch list, there are certain things that you cannot do. For example, you can't leave the country, you can't fly. One of the reasons Andrew Tate said that he went to Romania was because the laws were so lax. Yeah, educate you is 100% a global problem. We have not taught our boys to adjust to the way our girls have changed. I think there's still this overriding expectation that women kind of, sit in that submissive woman box. Start carrying brass knuckle. Well, apparently, actually, it wasn't even a knife that he had. It was a machete sword. So he went with this machete sword and flowers. So I think that they should actually do him for premeditated emming. I can't say the word. I think he should get done for that. Because he went with the intention that if she said no, to basically slash her to death. And also responsible are all of these platforms that are, giving space and time to Andrew Tate and the likes of him. Not space and time to positive male role models that could actually help men and boys. You're giving airtime to someone who's telling them that bench pressing and having a Bugatti and disrespecting women is that's masculinity. Oh, I hope they all get their day, because you know what, they are, all of these people are actually making, not only are they radicalizing young, men, and this is now resulting in physical violence against women, they are actually also ruining these uh, boys and men's lives. Because me personally, if from now on, if I go on your Instagram, if I go on your social media and I find that you're following any of these red pill, manosphere, insult types, blocked immediately. Absolutely not. Especially after the last two experiences I had. Both of them were following Jordan Peterson. Both utterly insufferable. Waste of time. So let that be something that you look at. I think if you're, out dating now, doesn't matter what age you are, because it's affecting younger and older. Do they follow any of these types of personalities? That should be a test. Thank you so much, Elaine. Yeah, I think when I'm ready to put it forward, I just need they said that you need the emails of 5 people. Katerina, you said, women, please carry pepper spray if you're from the UK. I don't. We don't really sell pepper spray here, I think. But you can make homemade pepper spray. Make homemade pepper spray. Yeah, that fool was indeed mentally crazy and unhinged. And then he found this online community that reinforced all of his beliefs. Yeah, I think you need to be observant wherever you go. It's one of the reasons I took up judo. I did a little bit of self-defense before I went traveling. And actually, now that I'm here in Bali, it's actually really affordable to learn how to do Muay Thai here. So that's something that I'm definitely going to be doing. Oh, Sherry, where make it make sense. It just doesn't make sense. And I could depress you all day with the hundreds of these incidences and cases. But it's a problem and we need to get a handle on it. Black Queen, you said the patriarchy has a death grip on power. They will never change the rules to protect women. No. So we just got to take things into our own hands, I think. Yes, Cinderella, who carries a machete around? Where did he even get it? Mind you. Where did he even get that? Because it's not easy to get a tool like that, especially if you're, I think the guy was 16 or 17. If you're under the age of 18, it's not easy to get. Girls and women should always have pepper spray with them. Yeah, I mean, anything you can have to protect yourself. But also, I do think learning some basic self-defense is good, and judo, I think, is a good one for women to start with, because it's specifically designed to give you an advantage if you are smaller. And I was advised from one of the guys in my judo to continue with judo, but also add another contact martial arts like Muay Thai or kickboxing. So definitely, if you can pick up a self-defense, I would start with judo. Yes, Chief Dilly, Harry and Meghan are absolutely not only beautiful and powerful and positive. I think that they, as a couple, are amazing role models. Clearly in love, Harry's not afraid to show how much he loves his wife, and also not afraid to have her by his side. Not afraid that her star does shine so bright. In fact, he sees it as a good thing. Not he doesn't see his wife as competition. He sees her as an asset. And that's how it should be. Two people bring whatever it is they have together and you support each other. Not one person, being jealous of the other person and you don't want the other person to overshine you. Yeah, that's another one, Jessica. Jeremy Clarkson, literally writing in his article. Well, we all are not going to say it again. We all know what he wrote in his article about Meghan, and that type of rhetoric, it just emboldens people to think that that is okay, and it goes from the internet and it's now spilling onto the streets. Oi. Lady, you carry a knife with the Hollister inside my pants. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can get like small camping blades that are like really, really tiny and like carry them in your purse. Especially if you live in a country like where you can't really carry anything. Like, I think in the UK, there's like you can like if they catch you with a blade over like a certain length, like you'll get arrested. So just be like careful wherever you are that you're still kind of within the bounds of the law. But get something to protect yourself, like something. But learning self-defense regardless helps. Thank you so much, Lightside. And yeah, look into what they're doing in the US, because I believe that the FBI are well, they have officially recognized it as a threat. Random matrix. Stop and search is really simple. Yeah. So they did used to do stop and search. The controversy though was that some people felt that they were disproportionately stopping and searching black youths. So that's why stop and search was reduced. And there was a whole debate over that. All right, I'm gonna end things there. Thank you, folks. Thank you for all your well wishes. I got here safely with your prayers, and hopefully we will have some much more positive news going forward. At least we did have some. We know that there are some girls in Nigeria who are smiling and feeling very cared for and seen, and who are going to be supported. So that's one good thing at least. I'm sure there's more to come. Sussex September is still going. Didn't expect this little nice piece of news, right? All right, enjoy the rest of your day, folks. Go like meditate and deep breathe. It's a terrible thing what happened, but there is something that we can do about it, right? What does Meghan say? You can be the change. Write those letters. Ciao.
Yeah, this is
For a fact, they both don't like that woman.
Yep, I told you.
I tell you that because, furthermore, if you look at the situation, their father met that woman when he was 29. Do you know how old Diana was? 16. Diana was 16.
My goodness.
My man
What would
was
they say in 2023?
You see? The age police have not said anything.
The age
So
police.
now, when your
Severe grooming.
imagine your mother goes on TV
Brutal, man.
and says your father and his descendants and his predecessors are bullying me, they're making me not eat, the woman is giving me sleepless nights, and then my mother dies, and then you go and marry that woman. Huh? You think I'm gonna like that woman?
That is a slap in the face.
A big slap in the face. But for William, as you said, he's sucking up because what? For him, he wants to be king.
He wants
to be king. So,
100%.
but Harry, my guy, my brother,
My guy.
sticking up for his
William
mother.
is what you call a man that does not stand for anything, can fall for anything.
He will fall. Look at him; he's just like the wind.
That's why his head is falling as well. His hair is falling out.
Allegedly, he's also like father, like son. I hear.
Yeah.
He also has a side copy, but
Allegedly, but now
Allegedly.
Is this a news flash?
And allegedly,
Are you breaking?
she was there at the
We
coronation.
didn't confirm it, you didn't hear it here.
Me, I'm just talking what I read in the newspapers.
What newspaper is this?
That already she was also there at the coronation. On Camilla's side. That's what I saw.
William had chest, eh?
Allegedly. So for me, I don't think they like her, but they tolerate her.
So they have a Department of Side Peace Affair.
Did you not see that?